One of the most important theologians of this time, and a man that I have followed and admired for the last 10 or 15 years, once had this to say. He said, "Just remember, if we go to heaven, it's not forever." The theologian who said this is N.T. Wright, and he was a former Bishop of Durham in England, and is now a professor at St. Andrew's University, and has been to many synods, at least 3 or 4 synods in Rome, invited by the Pope himself. And what he meant by that was he was saying, yes, if we go to heaven, remember that what does it say at the end of the Bible? What does it say at the very end of the Bible? It says what? It says there'll be a new heavens and a new earth. And so I think that applies very well to today's gospel, because we see here Jesus comes and visits himself the disciples. And of course these disciples, I mean, we know that they've heard about the empty tomb. They've heard Simon Peter mention that he's resurrected, but they also saw that cruel and bloody death of his passion. And so it must have been very startling for them to have Jesus in their presence. But see what Jesus does. He says, look at me. This is a real body that I have. He says, look at my hands and feet. Look at my wounds. Touch those wounds. And if that wasn't even enough, he says, do you have anything to eat? And he took some fish and ate it because he was hungry. And so he has very much a real body. And so, yes, we should think that at the end there is not only a new heavens, but a new earth. And I think as well, it's easy for us to sometimes imagine the resurrected Jesus as being kind of more of a spiritualized body than a real body. But here Jesus insists, no, he has a real body. And also remember back to the very beginning of the Bible. Remember in the first chapter of Genesis, and Adam and Eve are there in the garden. And remember that it appears that they really did not kill animals or even plants to eat. It seems like they lived off the fruit of the earth, but they weren't really killing other beings to nourish themselves. And really we see that happening only after the fall, and we see the sacrifice of Cain and Abel, and how that and also how the bloody death of Abel by Cain. But we really just see that the animal sacrifices, we really just see those things, and the eating of meat and all, and that coming really after the fall. So there really is a kind of a call back to a certain harmony, a harmony that's existing between the Adam and Eve and their environment, but as well between themselves and with God himself. And we see that, yes, that sin has broken that harmony. And it's interesting to see now, I kind of wonder in the current state of this shutdown, how environment is responding. I hear even heard it on the streets. They says, "Oh, have you read that in LA there's less pollution now, and that there's less cars and less pollutions?" And I was walking along the headlands, along the sea here, and I thought yesterday the sea was particularly blue, and probably it was just because of the sun, but I couldn't help but think, well, is the sea in a better place now because maybe of less of the human imprint upon the world? And we don't know, but it would be interesting to see how the studies come out and see how this has affected all of that. But in Jesus, yes, in Jesus we have the occasion to restore harmony in our lives. Jesus is the one who heals us from sin. Jesus is the one who makes us whole. And in him we find that healing, we find that wholeness. He is the one there to restore us to proper health. And he's the one to restore us to the harmony that we should have, both with God, of course, and with our neighbors, but also with the world around us. So Jesus there is the ultimate source. He's the ultimate antidote to all the problems in our life and all the problems in the world.